Welcome to Pages and Pods. The title of this podcast is Ahriman, Cast Out of Heaven, Dominating Earth. In the previous podcast, I said that thought forms and egregores emerge from our thinking and emotions. If they gain enough energy, they can become vessels for dark spiritual and demonic forces. In Rudolf Steiner's 1917 lecture, GA 177, The Fall of the Spirits of Darkness, he tells us that a new kind of demonic force has entered the earthly realm, those aligned with Ahriman. He said, I told you before that this battle culminated in November 1879, when the Archangel Michael gained victory and the dragon, representing the Ahrimanic powers, was cast down into the human sphere. The powers of Ahriman, which fought in the spiritual world between 1841 and 1879, were cast into the human realm. Since then, their battlefield is human thinking, feeling, and willing, especially in modern time. Though Ahriman and his demons were forced out of heaven, they are now with us on earth with the power to forcefully implement Ahriman's goals, which I will cover briefly. For a complete explanation, listen to the lecture by G.G. Young titled Lucifer, Ahriman, and Christ. Ahriman brings the materialization of desires, reducing all life to monetary value. When you look at globalization today, you see that everything from human life to forest and water is assigned a price. Ahriman promotes scientism, not science itself, but the replacement of spiritual understanding with physical explanations. Scientism becomes a false kind of religion, and its endgame is transhumanism, the merger of human life with machines and systems of control. Economist Catherine Austin Fitts calls this a control grid society. Where religion can't be replaced, Ahriman twists it, making it dogmatic, lifeless, and separated from the divine. His ultimate aim is to sever humanity from higher spiritual forces. Again, going back to Steiner, Ahriman seeks to harden the earth and prevent spiritual evolution. He wants to freeze the soul in a state of materialism. He created what Steiner called the eighth sphere, a kind of false world that captures souls through unfree mechanization and rigid logic. When the earth evolves into future Jupiter, Ahriman will try to split off a portion of it, forming a parasitic realm outside the divine plan. This world would be dominated by mechanical thought, not spiritual life. To understand how we got here, Steiner said that from the 15th century onward, Ahriman began to influence human development more intensely. Where can we find Ahriman's influence? The printing press, built in 1440, shifted knowledge from oral and mystical forms to rigid, fixed texts. Precision mapmaking and navigation tools made global conquest possible. It also objectified people and their land. Mechanical clocks quantified time, divorcing it from cosmic and spiritual rhythm. William of Ockham introduced nominalism, the denial that spiritual realities exist beyond words. Tree, goodness, and humanity are only names, monikers, without spiritual essence. When Constantinople fell in 1453, Greek scholars fled to Italy, bringing ancient texts to the West. This set the stage for the scientific revolution. Copernicus moved Earth from the center of the spiritual cosmos to a mechanical heliocentric system. Galileo's telescope transformed the heavens into measurable objects without spiritual qualities. Descartes introduced dualism, mind versus matter, a foundation for material science, and then came the Enlightenment. Hume questioned cause and belief. Kant limited knowledge to phenomena, cutting us off from the supersensible. Hegel exalted logic and system. But to Steiner, this marked the rise of dead thinking, perfect and abstract, but without soul or life. Ahriman lost the war in heaven. Ahriman may have lost the war in heaven, but his influence on earth has spread through human thought and invention. When the great spiritual battle began in the heavens, mechanized wars ravaged the earth while science and technology negated the spirituality of humanity. This time saw the beginning of industrialized war, and in particular the Crimean War and the U.S. Civil War. Photography was invented, turning light into external memory. Darwin's theory of evolution cast humanity as a biological accident. Marxism reduced aesthetics to economics. People were dehumanized through mechanized labor and industrial agriculture. News and thoughts could be communicated in seconds worldwide via the telegraph. In 1879, the same year the Ahrimanic forces were cast down, Edison patented the practical electric light bulb. With the light bulb came the electrification of the planet. And as the grid expands, Ahriman's reach expands with it. Steiner told us that electricity, as a subnatural realm, is a perfect host for Ahriman. This is the hidden story behind modernity. It's not neutral, it's spiritual. These developments are not random. They are the tools of a fallen being whose goal is to trap the human soul in matter. We must learn to recognize Ahriman's hand not just in technologies, but in ideologies, thoughts, and systems. In the next episode, we'll explore the specific thought forms that now govern human development. Until then, remember to like and subscribe. If this resonates with you, you're not alone.